No one noticed when the signal appeared. That alone should have been terrifying. It did not scream across the galaxy. It did not pulse with energy or burn like a dying star. It whispered. A whisper so old that most senses ignored it as background noise, a leftover echo from a dead universe. For centuries, automated probes passed by without stopping. Civilizations rose, expanded, and died without ever knowing the signal existed. Then humans built a different kind of scanner. The Horizon's Wake was not a warship. It was not important. It was a long-range exploration vessel crewed by people who were curious enough to look twice at strange data instead of deleting it. When the ship's systems flagged a repeating anomaly inside a collapsed star system, the crew almost dismissed it too. Almost. Captain Elias Rowan stared at the projection in silence. The star had gone supernova millions of years ago. The planets were broken. The system was dead. Yet something inside it was still transmitting. "It's too clean," the science officer said quietly. "Natural signals don't repeat like this." Rowan nodded. His instincts tightened. Humans had learned the hard way that the universe rarely wasted effort on nothing. They changed course. As the ship entered the system, gravity twisted in subtle, wrong ways. Instruments flickered. Time readings slipped by fractions of seconds. Every member of the crew felt the same pressure in their chest, like being watched by something very patient. At the center of the system was a ruin. Not a planet, not a station. A structure. It hung in space where a world should have been, a colossal shape carved from black material that reflected no light. It was neither damaged nor decayed. It looked untouched by time, as if the universe itself had decided to leave it alone. The structure was a tower. No engines, no weapons, no visible power source. Yet it was alive. The moment a human stepped closer to the viewing window, the signal changed. The whisper became a voice. "Observation confirmed," the structure said calmly. "Human presence detected." The bridge went silent. No one breathed. The voice did not come through translators. It spoke perfect human language, with rhythm and clarity that felt studied, intentional, as if someone had learned humanity very, very well. Captain Rowan stood slowly. "Identify yourself." "I am a watcher," the structure replied. "I was built to wait." Weapons officers tensed, but Rowan raised a hand. This was not a threat. Threats were loud. This thing had waited longer than human history, just to speak. "How long have you been here?" Rowan asked. "Since before your species learned fire," the watcher answered. The crew exchanged stunned glances. The watcher continued, its tone neither proud nor sad. Simply factual. "I was placed here by the first civilization. This led the resocialization. My task was to observe, protect, and guide life." The science officer whispered, "Precursors." The watcher paused. "You used that word?" "Yes. That is acceptable." Rowan's mouth felt dry. Humanity had found ruins before. Dead empires. Ancient debris. Always silence. Never a voice. "Where are they now?" Rowan asked. The watcher's surface rippled faintly, like a shadow passing over deep water. "They chose transcendence," it said. "They became more than matter, more than need, more than fear." Someone muttered, "They became gods." "No," the watcher replied immediately. "They became absent." The word settled heavily in the air. The watcher explained that the first civilization had reached the limits of survival. Disease, war, entropy, extinction, they had solved them all. But solving life did not give it meaning. So they left. Not upward, not outward. Away, they abandoned the universe. And you stayed? Rowan asked. Yes, the Watcher said. Someone had to. The structure rotated slightly, aligning itself directly with the horizon's wake. I was never meant to last this long. Others like me failed. I remained. Rowan felt a chill crawl up his spine. Why speak now? He asked. The Watcher answered without hesitation. Because humanity has reached the threshold. The lights on the bridge dimmed. You survive what destroys others, it continued. You adapt where others collapse. You fight, fail, recover, and try again. You are inefficient, emotional, dangerous. The Watcher's voice softened, and you endure. A pause. I was instructed to offer you a choice. The crew stared in silence as the ancient structure unfolded, revealing an opening darker than space itself. One path leads to power beyond death, the Watcher said. The other leads to responsibility beyond comfort. Captain Rowan swallowed. The universe had waited millions of years. And now, it was asking humans what came next. The bridge felt smaller after the Watcher opened the dark gateway. Captain Rowan did not move. Neither did anyone else. Humans were used to danger, but this was different. This was not a weapon pointed at them. This was an invitation from something older than fear itself. What happens if we step closer? Rowan asked. You will understand, the Watcher replied. That answer helped no one. The science officer finally broke the silence. Captain, this thing just claimed it watched entire civilizations rise and fall. We need data, not philosophy. Rowan nodded. We'll get both. He turned to the crew. No one panics. No one rushes. We treat this like first contact. Someone laughed under their breath. Sir, this is last contact. Rowan ignored it. A drone was launched first. It drifted toward the opening, sensors screaming as physics bent around it. Gravity spiked. Time lagged. Radiation readings spiked and vanished in the same second. Then the drone crossed the threshold. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the feed exploded into impossible image-eye stars, collapsing backward, planets rebuilding themselves, equations written in light. The data stream corrupted itself so violently that the drone shut down mid-transmission. Silence returned. The Watcher spoke again. Your machines cannot carry what you seek. Rowan exhaled slowly. So this is for people? Yes. The implication hit harder than any threat. Whatever waited inside was not meant to be studied safely. It was meant to be experienced. Rowan turned toward the crew. I'll go. Protests erupted instantly. No, that's insane. You're the captain. Rowan raised a hand. That's exactly why. He had led humans through worse plagues, wars, first contact disasters that should have wiped them out. Humanity survived because someone always stepped forward first. He secured his suit, not because the Watcher demanded it, but because humans never trusted unknowns without backup plans and bad ones. As Rowan approached the opening, the Watcher spoke again. Understand this before you enter, it said. The choice is irreversible. Story of our species, Rowan muttered. He stepped through. The universe ended. Then it began again. Rowan felt weightless, then crushed, then free. His memories unfolded around him, like pages in a book he didn't remember writing. Earth burning, Earth healing. Humans killing each other. Humans standing together against impossible odds. He saw futures that never happened, and pasts that never existed. And he saw the first civilization. They had not been kind. They had not been cruel. They had been tired. They solved survival too well. No hunger. No danger. No struggle. Every problem disappeared before it could shape them. Their species drifted into perfect comfort. And perfect emptiness. "So you left," Rowan said into the void. "So you left," Rowan said into the void. Yes, countless voices answered at once. "We escaped, meaning." Rowan clenched his fists. "That's not survival, that's quitting." Silence followed. Then the Watcher's voice returned, closer now. Personal. "You are different," it said. "You suffer and still care. You bleed and still build. You face extinction and still joke about it." The void reshaped itself. Two paths formed before Rohan. One burned with light. Endless energy. Knowledge. Control over matter, time, biology. Humanity could become untouchable. The other path was darker. Heavier. Full of warnings instead of promises. "What's the second path?" Rowan asked. "Guardianship," the Watcher replied. "The precursor mantle?" Images flooded Rowan's mind. Humans guiding young species. Protecting worlds from premature destruction. Intervening only when extinction was certain. Never ruling. Never worshipped. Never walking away. "It's a burden," Rowan whispered. "Yes. And if we fail?" The Watcher did not hesitate. "Then the universe dies alone." Rowan thought of Earth. Of humans fighting storms, wars, famine, space itself. Of how they complained endlessly and still showed up. "Send me back," Rowan said. The void resisted. "I choose nothing," he added. "I won't decide alone." The Watcher paused for the first time. When Rowan stepped back onto the bridge of the Horizon's wake, the crew rushed toward him, voices overlapping. Before anyone could ask a question, the Watcher spoke one final time. "Humanity has been offered the mantle." The dark opening began to close. "You have until your species decides," it said. "After that, I will shut down." The structure powered down. The signal faded. The universe stopped whispering. Rowan looked at his crew, then at the stars beyond the viewport. Humanity had never been afraid of impossible choices. They were afraid of responsibility. And now, it was waiting for them. The signal from the Watcher was gone, but its weight stayed behind. Captain Rowan stood at the center of the bridge, staring at empty space where the ancient structure had been only minutes ago. No alarms. No anomalies. Just stars silent and uncaring. "Status," Rowan said finally. "All systems stable," the engineer replied. "No radiation spike. No residual energy. It's like it was never there." Rowan nodded. Except it was the crew exchanged uneasy looks. Humans were explorers, but they hated unanswered questions. And this one wasn't just unanswered, was unfinished. Within hours, the ship's data burst was transmitted to Earth, using priority channels. Everything Rowan saw. Everything the Watcher showed him. No filters. No edits. Because if humanity was going to decide its future, it had to see the truth. Earth went quiet. Not the loud kind of quiet filled with panic, but the dangerous kind, where leaders stopped arguing and started listening. Emergency councils formed across the planet. Governments, scientists, military leaders. Philosophers, people who normally couldn't agree on lunch, suddenly faced the same impossible choice. Godhood or guardianship. Or rejection. The first debates were chaotic. "They're lying," some said. "It's a trap." No species hands out power for free. Others saw opportunity. This ends war forever. We could cure everything. We'd never lose another human again. But there were voices that shook the room. If we become gods, one woman said quietly, what stops us from becoming bored? No one answered. Rowan watched the feeds from his ship, saying nothing. He knew what boredom looked like. He had seen it in the Watcher-S memory species that solved existence and found nothing left worth caring about. Meanwhile, something else was happening. The stars were changing, not visibly, not dramatically, but long-range sensors across multiple systems began reporting the same thing: extinction events slowing down, pirate fleets retreating, rogue AI networks shutting themselves off. As if something was watching again, the Watcher was still active. It was waiting. 3 days later, the Watcher reappeared, this time above Earth's moon. Every telescope saw it. Every sensor confirmed it. And for the first time in history, all of humanity was watching the same thing at the same time. A single transmission cut through every channel on the planet. Time is finite, the Watcher said. Indecision is also a choice. Global panic followed. Markets crashed. Religions fractured. Some people prayed. Others protested in the streets. Rowan was summoned back to Earth immediately. Standing before the Unified Council, he felt smaller than he ever had, yet strangely calm. You saw the truth, the council chair said. Tell us what to do, Rowan exhaled. That's not how this works. A general slammed a fist on the table. We can't just walk away from this. Rowan looked him in the eye. Neither could they. That's why they left a Watcher instead of ruling forever. Silence fell, Rowan continued. The Watcher didn't ask us to save the universe. It asked if we were willing to try even, knowing we'd fail sometimes. A scientist spoke next. If we reject the mantle, what happens? The Watcher shuts down, Rowan said. No one guides what comes next. And if we accept Godhood? Rowan shook his head. Then humanity ends just slower. That answer spread through the room like cold water. But guardianship? Someone whispered. Rowan nodded. Means limits, rules, pain, sacrifice? It means saying no to power even when it's easy. The council debated for hours, then days. Outside, people waited. Finally, Earth spoke not through a single leader, but through a vote broadcast planet-wide. The result was narrow, painfully narrow. Humanity rejected Godhood, accepted responsibility. The Watcher responded instantly. A new structure formed above the moon, smaller than the first, simpler. Human in design. Then listen well, the Watcher said. The mantle does not grant power. It grants duty. Data streamed across Earth's networks, maps of vulnerable worlds, early warning systems, knowledge of what not to do. No weapons, no shortcuts, just guidance. The Watcher's light dimmed. My task is complete, it said. From this moment on, you are not alone. But you are no longer guided. The structure dissolved into dust that scattered into space. Humanity had inherited the quiet. Weeks later, the first distress signal arrived from a species on the brink of self-destruction. Rowan stood before the council again. They're asking for help, he said. Not technology. Advice? The room went silent. This was the moment that proved whether humanity meant what it chose. Rowan asked one final question. So, do we answer? The signal kept repeating, simply weak and disparate. A dying civilization. Asking a question no one had ever asked humanity before. Can you help us? Without ruling us. The room stayed silent, long after the words finished echoing. Captain Rowan stood with his hands behind his back, staring at the star map hovering above the council table. One system pulsed red. A civilization on the edge of collapse. Civil war, failing climate controls. Resource shortages. The kind of place the old powers would have exploited. Or ignored. "We answer," Rowan said calmly. A few council members shifted in their seats. "And if they ask for weapons?" One asked. "We say no." "And if they ask us to solve everything?" "We still say no." The chair leaned forward. "Then what exactly are we offering?" Rowan didn't hesitate. "Experience, warnings, mistakes we already made, so they don't have to make them again." That answer scared more people than any superweapon ever could. Within a day, the first human Guardian ship launched. Not a battleship, not a command vessel. A listening ship. The crew was small. Scientists, diplomats, engineers. No soldiers beyond basic security. No flags painted on the hull. No claims of ownership. When they arrived, they didn't land in the capital. They waited. For 3 days. Finally, permission came. The species called themselves the Celt, tall, fragile. Their cities were stacked towers built around a dying ocean. Their skies were thick with pollution from a war that had lasted so long no one remembered why it started. Rowan watched through a live feed as the human envoy stepped forward, unarmed. The Celt leaders expected demands. They got questions. Why are you fighting? What do you think you're protecting? What happens if you win? No threats. No promises. Just silence afterward. Hours passed. Then arguments. Then tears. Humanity didn't fix their world, but it showed them recordings. Planets that burned. Species that chose pride over survival. Civilizations that solved every problem except themselves. The Celt asked the hardest question of all. "Why are you helping us?" The envoy answered honestly. "Because someone once asked us to choose responsibility over power. We said yes." News spread faster than anyone expected. Other species began sending signals. Not for conquest. Not for salvation. For guidance. Humanity didn't become rulers of the stars. They became something stranger. Referees, teachers, sometimes witnesses. Not every story ended well. Some civilizations ignored the warnings and collapsed anyway. Some tried to trick humanity into fighting their wars for them. Humanity walked away from those. And it hurt. Back on Earth, the pressure grew. "You could stop this," people protested. "You could force peace." Rowan stood before the public council again. "And who stops us?" he asked quietly. "When we decide we know better than everyone else?" No one answered. Months later, the Watcher's old data proved its worth. A hidden empire was exposed, one that had been quietly enslaving young species under the cover of protection. Humanity didn't attack. They warned the galaxy. Shared evidence. Turned light on the dark. The empire collapsed under the weight of truth. For the first time, fear spread not of humans, but of being seen by them. A phrase began circulating among alien networks. "Do not lie when humans are watching." Rowan didn't smile when he heard it. He felt the weight instead. One night, alone on the observation deck, he looked out at the stars and wondered how long humanity could hold this line. How long before exhaustion? How long before temptation? Because the mantle didn't make them stronger, it made them tired. The next alert came without warning. A new structure appeared beyond charted space. Not human, not ancient. Active. It was broadcasting on every frequency. "I am not bound by the mantle," the voice said. I claim dominion. Rowan felt a familiar chill. This was what the Watcher had feared. The universe testing its new guardians. Earth's council gathered in emergency session. Weapons could stop it. Godhood could erase it. But humanity had already chosen neither. Rowan spoke once. We don't answer with power, he said. We answer with presence. The room went quiet. The unknown entity repeated its message. I claim dominion. Rowan looked at the stars and whispered words that would soon define humanity's legacy. Then let it see who stands in its way. The signal grew louder, stronger, closer. Every probe sent toward the unknown structure vanished the moment it crossed a certain boundary. No explosion, no debris, just silence, like the universe itself refused to look inside. Human analysts reached the same conclusion independently. It's not a weapon, one said. It's a test, another whispered. Captain Rowan stood at the center of the command chamber, eyes fixed on the expanding sphere of distorted space. The structure did not move, yet it advanced. Systems failed around it. Stars dimmed as if afraid. The entity spoke again. I was born before your mantle. I will outlast it, Neil, or be corrected. Across the galaxy, panic spread. Old empires armed themselves. Younger species begged humanity to fight. Some offered tribute, others offered themselves. Humanity refused them all. Instead, Rowan authorized something no one expected. Open transmission. No encryption. No shielded words. The message went out to every known civilization. This is Earth. We are not your shield. We are not your rulers. We will not fight for you. But we will not step aside. The unknown entity noticed. Its focus turned. Space folded. In an instant, it was no longer at the edge of the map. It was there. Above Earth. Skies across the planet shimmered as gravity bent and oceans pulled toward the horizon. Satellites dropped from orbit like falling leaves. Cities went dark. People waited for commands. There were none. No evacuation orders. No mobilization speeches. Only one transmission played worldwide. Captain Rowan's voice. This ends where it began, he said. Not with gods. Not with weapons. With choice. The entity descended, tearing clouds apart with invisible force. A shape formed vast geometric, wrong. It wasn't alive in any way biology understood. It was intention given form. You wear the mantle poorly, it said. You refuse ascension. You refuse dominance. You are inefficient. Rowan stepped forward in the chamber, unarmed, unshielded. We refuse because we remember, he replied. What it costs. The entity scanned him. No species resists this long. We didn't, Rowan said softly. We failed many times. That's how we learned. The entity showed them visions. Human cities burning. Wars extinction over weapons. The moment humans could have taken godhood. You are flawed, it declared. Yes, you suffer. Yes, you will lose everything. Rowan nodded. Someday. A pause. For the first time, the entity hesitated. Then why persist? Rowan answered with words, not from strategy, not from fear, but from truth. Because if existence has meaning, it's not in control. It's in choosing not to destroy when we can. Silence. Across the planet, every system held its breath. The entity re-evaluated. Not humanity's strength, its restraint. It turned its gaze outward, scanning the civilizations watching in terror. They will fail, it said. So will we, Rowan replied. but not today. The entity began to withdraw, defeated, but changed. This galaxy is anomalous, it said. I will observe. And then it vanished. The skies cleared. Gravity stabilized. Power returned. Humanity didn't cheer. They just sat down. Exhausted. In the days that followed, something shifted. Civilizations stopped asking humans to rule them. They started asking how to stand on their own. The mantle was never about saving everyone. It was about giving them the chance to save themselves. Rowan looked once more at the stars. He knew this wasn't the end. It was a warning. The universe was watching again. And next time, it might not hesitate. The galaxy did not return to normal. It only pretended to. Weeks after the entity vanished, strange readings appeared everywhere. Stars pulsed out of rhythm. Ancient structures woke up. Old machines that no one remembered building began to whisper across forgotten frequencies. Humanity listened. They always did. Captain Rowan stood alone in the observation deck, Earth rotating slowly beneath him. The planet looked calm, again blue-green, alive. But he knew better now. Calm did not mean safe. Calm meant waiting. Reports flooded in from allied worlds. Civilizations that once relied on humanity's protection had started changing. They trained their people. They dismantled god machines. They chose effort over shortcuts. Fear had taught them nothing. Choice had. Then the final signal arrived. Not hostile. Not friendly. Ancient. It came from beyond mapped space, from a place no ship had ever returned from. The message was simple. The Watchers have noticed. Scientists panicked. Politicians argued. Militaries demanded preparation. Humanity did something else. They called the council. Not just of rulers or admirals, but of engineers, farmers, teachers, doctors. Ordinary humans. People who built, healed, and failed every day. Rowan watched the debate unfold. Some wanted weapons. Some wanted ascension. Some wanted to run. In the end, the decision was unanimous. They would not become gods. They would not kneel. They would not hide. A new signal was sent. This is humanity. We know you are watching. We are not perfect. We are not eternal. But we are here. The response came faster than expected. Space cracked open. Not above Earth this time. Everywhere. The Watchers revealed themselves not as beings, but as presences. Laws of reality shaped into minds. They were older than stars, older than the mantle itself. You refused divinity, they said. You rejected control. Explain. Humanity did not answer with speeches. They showed them history. Every failure. Every war. Every regret. Every moment where they almost chose extinction, but didn't. They showed parents shielding children. Strangers saving strangers. People rebuilding after ruin. They showed choice. The Watchers processed it all. You could end suffering, they said. You chose limits. Why? Rowan answered, his voice steady. Because meaning dies when nothing costs anything. Silence stretched across the universe. The Watchers reached a conclusion no civilization had ever forced them to make. You are unsuitable for ascension, they declared. Some humans smiled. Good, Rowan said. A ripple passed through reality. The mantle dissolved not, destroyed, but released. Its rules rewritten. Its burden lifted from existence. No single species will guard life, the Watchers announced. Life will guard itself. With that, they vanished. No fireworks, No apocalypse. Just quiet. Years passed. Humanity did not become rulers of the galaxy. They became neighbors. They shared knowledge, but not dominance. Protection, but not chains. Hope without obedience. Other species followed. The galaxy grew louder. Messier, alive. Rowan aged. New captains took command. Earth kept turning. And somewhere beyond the stars, something ancient watched again, but this time with curiosity, not judgment. Humanity had proven something no weapon ever could. That survival was not about power. It was about restraint. And in a universe filled with gods, monsters, and dead empires, that made humans something far rarer. Trustworthy. The stars did not belong to them. They never needed to. They just needed to keep choosing.